This is Gemara in Sotah, Daf Yomi, and we're holding on Chav Testament base. We stopped approximately 7 lines from the bottom, in which the Gemara says, "Maskiv la Rav Papa." Now, the last shtickle Gemara we ran through pretty fast, and these are quite complicated Gemaras, which as well will continue for the first half of today's year. So, for a few moments, hopefully not too long, I would like to go back. I would like to go approximately 20 lines from the bottom. The first word in line is lo yiparich. And the Gemara says a brisa. Tanya. Omar Rabbi Yosi. So we're going to go back to this brisa, and hopefully we'll get a little bit more clarity. Says Rabbi Yosi, Minayin l'revi'i ba'kodesh. How do you know that a revi with regard to kodshim shepasul, that is pasul? Vidinu, it's a kal v'chaimer. Uma mechusar kippurim. When it comes to mechusar kippurim, what is a mechusar kippurim? We're going to try to define everything a little bit more. Mechusar kippurim is one that was tameh. And what did he do for his tamah? He did everything he needed to do. He waited the requisite amount of days, and he went to the mikvah. And he had Erev Shemesh, the sun was set. What's next? The next day, he has to bring karbanos, like we learned extensively in Nazir. So he's mechusar kippurim until he brings those karbanos. The halacha is in that status, before he brings the karbanos, he is mutter b'truma. He's allowed to eat truma. However, he's pasul b'kodesh. He can't eat kachim. Whereas shlishi, a shlishi, which is pasul b'truma, eino din she'aser revi'i b'kodesh. So that's the equation of Rav Yosi that we're going to deal with. So I'd like to explain that a drop deeper. Let's just first give ourselves, maybe we should have done this yesterday. We definitely should have. Let's give ourselves a quick reminder of the lachas of Tumah v'Taira. We have an Avi Avos, the corpse. We have the Avad Tomah, someone that touches the corpse. And then a Rishon, someone that touches that. And a Sheni, someone that touches that. Avi Avos, Av, Rishon, Sheni, apply across the board. When it comes to Shlishi and Revi, and again, just to define one dot more, each time Tumah is transferred, it's diluted a little bit. Goes from Avi Avos to Av, to Rishon, to Sheni, to Shlishi, to Revi. It's diluted as it keeps on touching, as it keeps on evolving. So, until a Sheni is across the board. Now, when it comes to a shlishi, what could become a shlishi l'tama? So the din is a shlishi is only for truma and kachim. A revi is only for kachim, and we can understand this very simply that because truma has a higher level of sanctity, because kachim karbanos has an even higher level of sanctity, therefore it's more susceptible to tumah. Therefore, even after the tumah is diluted all the way, Avi Avos, Av, Rishon, Sheni, now it's a shlishi, it's still going to have a din of tumah by truma and kachim, and it's going to have a din of tumah even for Avi of kachim. So says Rav Yosi the following equation: if I have something that makes truma possible, our case over here is mechusar kippurim can eat truma, and yet it's paisel b'kachim. So a shlishi, which is paisel b'truma, eino din she'aser revi'i b'kodesh. So it's also going to transfer one step deeper. Says the Gemara, v'lamanu shlishi la'kodesh min ha'tayra, and the din that there's a shlishi for kachim, that's the raisa, and the din of revi is the kal v'chaimer, like we just said. And now the Gemara explains again. Shlishi la'kodesh min ha'tayra min ha'lon d'chsev. So what is the case of the Torah that it says all the flesh you should touch, you should not eat? Because it's tamei. What is the case the Gemara suggests? It says any form of tuga, any form of basar, seemingly including a sheni. So if someone touches a sheni, and what does the Torah say? The Torah says you cannot eat it. So that's how we know that the sheni will create a shlishi with regard to kachim. How do we know that the next level goes all the way to revi? Revi mikal v'chaimer kid amaran. Again, that if a sheni lo yachel comes a shlishi, a revi for kachim would as well. Omar Rav Yochanan. So that is the din of Rav Yosi. Rav Yochanan comes and he argues. Amar Rav Yochanan tam beribi, the tam of Ribi, which he's referring to a great man. Rav Yosi says, Rav Yochanan, I don't understand. Ma'u sharei tshuvasa b'tzidai. The answer is at its side. Oichel, so explains Rav Yochanan, when I have food, haba machmas tful yoim yoichiach, food that comes through a tful yoim is going to prove this. What is a tful yoim? A tful yoim is one that is waiting to go to the mikveh. He has to go to the mikveh that day. So tful yoim is going to prove to us that what? Shepasel b'tshuma. A tful yoim that touches food makes it pasel like truma. But it doesn't make a Ravi. Says Rav Yochanan, Rav Yosi, what was your equation? That any time you create a shlishi for truma, you create a Ravi for kachim. Says Rav Yochanan, I find by Tful Yom not that way. I find by Tful Yom a situation that you're creating a shlishi for truma, but there is no din of Ravi for kachim. Tanya, the Gemara proves. Now we have a Bryce. And this Bryce, we're going to have three opinions. Abashal, Rameir, the Chachamim. And the Gemara's Kasha that Rav Yochanan is asking on Rav Yosi is assuming we're going with the opinion of the Chachamim. Abashal, remember the first opinion. Tful Yoy, Tchila la Kodesh, Letame Shnayim, Ulupasal Echad. Abashal holds, and we're going to come back to Abashal in a moment and we'll explain it better, but Abashal holds that this Tful Yoim that we're talking about has a din, that it's L'tamei Shnayim, it goes two steps down when it comes to Toma, and two steps down of Tamei, I'll explain what that means, and Paisel is L'achad. It's only one step so. The difference between the word Paisel and Tamei, either both no good. Tamei means it imparts Toma, that could then infect something else. Pasul means it itself is pasul. So says Abashal, if I have a Tful Yom, which is a Rishon, and that could go two more levels, Sheni Shlishi, and then only one level of Psul to Revi'i. So Abashal holds, you have a Shlishi and Revi'i, so seemingly Abashal is just like Rav Yosi, that just like you have a Shlishi for Kachim, you have a Revi'i for, just like you have a Shlishi for Truma, you have a Revi'i for Kachim. Rameir Oimer, Mitame Echad Upasal Echad. Says Rameir, it goes one level and makes a Sheni and the Shlishi Benat Ravi. V'chachamim Oimrim, Kishem She'apasal Eich Le'Tshuma Amashkei Tshuma, Kach Pasal Eich Kodesh Umashkei Kodesh. Says the Chachamim, it just passes. It's never Mitame, meaning it never goes to the next level. That if the Tful Yom touches Kachim, the Tful Yom touches Truma, the entity itself is Tamei, a Sheni, and it doesn't go weiter, doesn't go further to a Shlishi. So Rav Yochanan says, I don't understand Rav Yosi, as we are proving from over here, from the opinion of the Chachamim, that we see that even things that create a psul for a Truma do not go all the way and create a Revi'i for Kachim. So Maskiv la Rav Papa, and this is really where we stopped yesterday. As Rav Papa, 8 lines from the bottom. Mimai Rav Yossi Rabbanan, Rav Yochanan. Your whole kasha is predicated on the sheet of the Rabbanan. Svirale, Domo Kabashal, Svirale. Maybe Rav Yossi holds like Abashal. And as we pointed out, and we're going to explain more now, Abashal is givaldik with Rav Yossi. Damar Litame is Shnayim is 2 levels. So it's Tful Yom has 2 levels of Tuma, meaning it creates a Sheni and a Shlishi, and Tuma means it infects something else. So the Rishon to the Sheni to the Shlishi, and the Shlishi can even infect to what? To the Revi. Now the Revi can't infect further. Lupsol, that's going to be Pasal Echad. So let's give all the Rav Yosi like Abashal. So says the Gemara, Is al Gedaitach. If you're going to tell me, and this is Rav Yochanan proving why he held that Rav Yosi is not like Abashal. Is al Gedaitach Abashal's Viralei. If Rav Yosi held like Abashal, then Rav Yosi wouldn't have had to bring a convoluted drasha from a pasuk, says Rav Yochanan. Why? Lazy Ravi by Kodesh me Eichel Shabbat was Tful Yom. Because Rav Yosi could have proved it from Abashal, from the case of Tful Yom. Uma Eichel Shabbat Tful Yom the Tful Yom Kufei Motor Bechulin, and yet Amarais Ravi creates Ravi by Kodesh Eichel Shlishi Abba Machasheni. As we turn over over to Lamed and Aleph. The Sheni Gufei is Aser Bechulin. Einoi Dejes Ravi B'Kodesh. So says Rav Yochanan, from the fact that Rav Yosi doesn't bring from the case of Abba Shaul, seemingly indicates that he does not hold like him. Because if he did, this would have been the quintessential raya to the opinion of Rav Yosi. Rav Yochanan continues and he says, one second, maybe you'll say, you know why he doesn't bring from Abba Shaul? Maybe you could try and know that Tful Yom is different. We've been saying that a Tful Yom is a Rishon. Maybe it's not true, because maybe so says Rav Yochanan, no. Because why? I said either way, Rav Yosi brought from Mechusar Kippurim, and Mechusar Kippurim is the same thing that you could theoretically say it's a Rishon, it's an Av, and we didn't ask that. So just like we didn't ask that, Rav Yosi says Rav Yochanan shouldn't ask Rav Yosi this, and this is why Rav Yochanan disagrees with Rav Yosi. So Rav Yosi holds that anytime you have a Shlishi for Truma, you automatically have a Ravi for Kachim. Rav Yochanan disagrees. And now we continue 5 lines down. Amar Rav Asi, Amar Rav, V'amri La, Amar Rabba ben Isi, Amar Rav. And the following opinions are going to prove the din in our Mishnah. The din of our Mishnah was Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva said that there is a din of a shlishi even for chulin. Says the Gemara, we have many opinions that disagree. Rameir, Rav Yisrael, Yishuv, Rav Lazar, Rav Eliezer, Kulu Svirlu Tein Sheni Oisa Shlishi Bachulin. There's no such thing as a Shlishi for Chulin. This is really how we started the Akdama, that we said that till Sheni is everything, but for Sheni and onward, a Shlishi or Ravi, it's only going to be for Kachim and Truma, and then the Ravi for Kachim. Says the Gemara, this is the opinion of Rameir, Rav Yosef, Shur, Rav Lazar, Eliezer. Rav Akiva and our Mishnah disagreed as he held there is a din of a shlishi by chulin. So now the Gemara is really going to go through all these names, Rameir, Rav Yosef, Shur, Rav Lazar, Eliezer, and prove how all these people hold that there's no din of a shlishi for chulin. So the bit of Akdama is that these are going to get involved in intricate halachas of Tumah V'Taira, in which, B'siyat Shmaya, each time we learn it, we take a little bit, and slowly we build in our world of Tumah V'Taira. So says the Gemara 10 lines down, Lamed Amar Aleph B'chulin Rameir Ditinhan. We learn Rameir's opinion from the following Mishnah. Kol Atoin Bias Mayim Divrei Seifrim. Says the Mishnah, anything that you have to put into a mikvah midrabanan, meaning midaraisa, it's tahar. Midrabanan needs a mikvah. Mitame is a kodesh. Says the Braisa, it makes tamei kachim. Again, the word tuma means that it can impart the next level, and upaisal truma just invalidates the truma. Umutter bechulin b'meiser, and this entity that requires a Tvila midrabanan is mutter bechulin ubaiser divrei Rabbi Meir. This already shows us the din of Rabbi Meir. For the fact that it says mutter bechulin ubaiser seemingly indicates that even one who is the tamei midrabanan can eat chulin and meiser, clearly showing that the chulin is not going to go to the next level and become a shlishi. The chachamim disagree with regard to meiser, and they hold that if one is tamei midrabanan, he's not allowed to eat meiser sheni, he could only eat chulin. However, Rashi over here points out that in reality the chachamim agree that if the meiser sheni was touched by someone who's tamei midrabanan, it cannot. That what the Chacham agreed, that Meiser Sheni touched by someone who's Tamid Rabbanan is yes allowed to be consumed. And it will not be made a Shlishi, meaning, very important Nekuda Rashi is teaching us. We said in the list of all the Tanaim that hold there's no such thing as a Shlishi for Chulin, we said Rameir. The Gemara is now proving it's not only Rameir, it's even the Chachamim, even those who disagree with Rameir, agree to the Yesai that we're proving that there's no such thing as a Shlishi for Chulin. Let's just see Rashi, smack him in on the Amid. Rashi says, Vu'adinami de Rabbanan, it's a Shlishi for Chulin. The Rabbanan concur, there's no din of Shlishi for Chulin. So why didn't we list the Rabbanan Rabbanan in the whole list, because we don't know who these Rabbanan are. We just know that the ones that argue on Rameir, but the Gemara is proving both Rameir and the one that argues on him holds there's no such thing as a Shlishi for Chulin. Next, Rabbi Yaisi. Who is Rabbi Yaisi? Adamar, and that's what we saw a moment ago, that there's only going to be a Shlishi for Truma and Kachim, Ravi for Kachim, but no Shlishi for Chulin. Demisi Laisi the Ravi B'Truma. Because if Rabbi Yaisi held that there's such a thing as a Shlishi for Chulin, then everything's going to get bumped down a level, and then you're going to be able to get all the way to Ravi for Truma, not just for Kachim, and the Chamishi will go till Kachim. Rabbi Yeshua, the third opinion, did Tanan Rav Elazar, Rishain. So who eats a Rishain, he becomes Tamei Rishain, Sheni, Shlishi. But Rabbi Yeshua disagrees. Shua Aimer, Rishain, V'Eichel, Sheni, Shlishi. But if someone eats a Shlishi, Sheni ba Kodesh, Ve'ein Sheni ba Truma. Someone eats a Shlishi, there's a concept of Sheni for Kachim and not for Truma. What is the case? What's the shayla? Because you're not allowed to eat the truma and kachim that become tamei. So how do we have a scenario that we're having truma and kachim that one is eating even though it's tama? Says the Gemara, you know what the case is? It's not truma and kachim. The case is 14 lines at the bottom. The first one line is sheni about truma bechulin. We're really talking about chulin. So why are we calling it kachim and truma? Because chulin should nasal tahayrois. They used to be Kayhanim and other tzaddikim that would deal with even chulin, even mundane food, with the same level of sanctity, the same level of scrutiny and carefulness like truma. So chulin shenas al tayrish truma, in al tayrish ha'kodesh loy. And the halacha is that if the Kohanim would treat chulin, something mundane, as if it was truma, the halacha is to receive the status of truma. But says the Gemara, it's only for truma, not for kachim. Alma kasavar ein sheni oisa shlishi b'chulin. So we see, according to the opinion of Rabbi Yeshua, there's never going to be a shlishi for chulin. The Gemara continues, Rabbi Eliezer, Dan Rabbi Elazar, 10 lines to the bottom. Shlosh and Shavin, says Rabbi Elazar, all three of the following are alike. Harishan Shabbat Kodesh, Harishan for Kachim, Shabbat Chulin, Shabbat Truma. And all these entities are Rishain of Kachim, Chulin, and Truma. Do what? Metame Shnayim, they could give off Tuma 2 levels, Sheni and Shlishi, Upais Lechad, and it creates a psul in the next level, which is the Revi'i. Ba Kodesh, if it's Kachim, Metame Echad, Upais Lechad, Betruma, Upais Lechad, Bechulin, no, I read that completely wrong, so let's go back. Excuse me. B'tamei shnayim u'poisel shnayim. B'tamei shnayim u'poisel echad b'kodesh. B'tamei echad u'poisel echad b'truma. U'poisel echad b'chulin. So what do we see? Poisel echad b'chulin. Now when it comes to chulin, it just creates one level of psul that the rishon creates a sheni, but it doesn't bump down the next level to a shlishi. Rav Eliezer, the final tana that holds there's no such thing as a shlishi for chulin, the tanan, 5 lines to the bottom. Rav Eliezer, chala niteles min atahira ala tameya. If someone has chala tameya that he wants to separate, he could use chala tahira to separate for chala tameya. Ketzad, what does he do? Shtei isa, he's 2 does. Achas tahira v'achas tameya. Noitel kirei chala mi isa shloi horma. You can take a piece of challah from dough that was not yet separated from its chalasa. So we have a dough that they didn't take off challah yet. So you take a piece off of that dough, and then you take a piece of the dough from the challah tamei and you put it in the middle. So I have a bowl of challah tamei. Let's get a ball. I have a ball of, what's the ball sitting next to here? This ball is also challah tamei. And then next to it, what do I have? Then I have the challah tahira. So I have this whole party over here. And this challah tahira, I'm going to separate, because this was from an entity that was shaloi horma, was not separated yet, for this challah tamei. So I have challah tamei, I have my piece of challah tamei, pachs mikabetza, and I have my challah tahira. Why am I doing this? To connect. As the din of challah is, you only can separate from entity A on entity B if the two of them are connected. As is called k'dei li'ital min ha'mukav, in order that you're taking from the mukav, or in order that you're taking from the entity which is near literally each other. That's halacha nilchas challah. So I'm taking the truma tameya to connect the challah tameya, to connect my piece of challah to higher that was taken of truma with my challah Timeo. And with that, we turn over to Lamed piece. And the Gemara continues. Chachamim say, this last case, no, you can't do what we just said. Vitanya, we learned in our Braisa, Kebeitza, that what is the case? That according to Rav Elazar, you're even allowed to use a piece of dough, the piece of dough which is ta'ira, you're allowed to use even up to the share of a Kebeitza. So explains the Gemara, Savrua, Aidi Isa Rishaina. We think that what? Both the Mishnah and the Braisa are all dealing with that the first original dough was Tamei. V'chulin atvulin lechala loikechala damu. And therefore we see that the chulin in the middle that connects the two doesn't have the status of challah. So what must the reason be? Must be that the dough is a rishain. The piece that connects it becomes a sheni. Again, the dough is challah tameo, which is a rishain. Now it touches something else, it becomes a sheni. Now the question is, when it touches this challah tahira, why doesn't it make this a shlishi? That's our raya, that what? That once it becomes a sheni, can't go further to create a shlishi. That's our third raya, final raya, The opinion of Rav Eliezer, there's no such thing as chulin becoming a shlishi. Now, parenthetically, the Gemara says, why do the chachamim say you can't do this on the top line? So my lab of the kamifki the Marasavar ancient Yosha Shlishi v'chulin Omar Savar, and seemingly the Chachamim will know, yes, Sheni Yosha Shlishi v'chulin, and therefore you can't do this because you're going to create that your challah ta'ira becomes tamei. Says the Gemara, not so fast. Amar Rav Mari Breder Rav Kahana, really the Kuli Amay Sheni Yosha Shlishi v'chulin. Even the Chachamim could agree. So why do the Chachamim say you can't do it over here? For an isolated reason. You know what the machlekes is? Machlekes in Hilchas Chala. What is the status of the chulin that you have to take of chala? Mar savar kechaloi damu. The chachamim hold that it gets the din of chala. And just like challah could become a shlishi, meaning the chachamim aren't holding that chulin could become a shlishi, but because I have chulin that I have to take of challah, that chulin gets the status of challah, and that's why you become a shlishi, and that's why you can't do this in the chachamim. Omar Savar, Rav Eliezer holds no, kechallah, lo kechallah damu, and therefore you could do this. V'ba Yisema, second Eretz, to kuli alma chulin atfulin challah, lo kechallah damu. Everyone holds this doesn't have the din of challah. And vein sheni yosel shishi b'chulin. So what's the machlekes? V'acha b'maiser mutar ligram tamul chulin sheberetz Yisrael kamifli. Are you allowed to make chulin? Which is chulin tamei. Mar savar. The Rav Eliezer holds mutar ligram tamul chulin sheberetz Yisrael. That's what you're allowed to do this. Mar savar the chamom the asli groin tama lechulin sheberetz Yisrael. So it's an isolated machlekes. And really, even though we are very high up on the Amid, really this is where we're going to basically finish today's shir. As you're about to see, we're about to dive deep into a Haggadah. Before we get to it, we have one more din. The Rav Akiva in the Mishnah with regarding to the Gevulim, the boundaries of the Machaneh Levio. We had a machlekes in the Mishnah. So says the Gemara, what is this machlekes? My kamifli, Mar Savar, it's going to be machlekes Chum Deraisa, Mar Savar Chum Derabanan. A massive machlekes in Kol Hashas, Kol HaTorah Kula, Kol HaPsak Halacha Kula, which is a very important halacha. For example, one wants to leave a tchum for medical reasons and whatnot. If it's a deraisa, obviously is a much higher level of severity. Of course, if it's a sakana stafashis, will be a different story, etc. Tanu Rabbana, we're just going to begin the next Gemara, but we're really not going to do it justice, as we're going to leave this basically for tomorrow. Says the Gemara, Tanu Rabbanan, Bai Bayayim Darsha Vikiva, Bashash Ali Yisam and Ayam, Nasnu Eneim Laimar Shira. This is where Rav Akiva said that at that time the Klal Yisrael went up from the Yam, they put their eyes to say Shira. V'ketzad Amar Shira, how do they say Shira? Ke Gadol HaMakris HaHalel. They said Shira like a Gadol reads Halel. And that what? Rashi Prakim. And the people answered after Moshe Rabbeinu, the Rashi Prakim, the headlines. That what? Moshe Mershir Lashem, and the people answered, Moshe Mershir Lashem. Moshe Mershir Lashem. No. That he just responded to everything Moshe Rabbeinu said. And a third opinion, you know what? How they said the Hallel, it's like the Sefer, which here doesn't refer necessarily to a scribe, it's more of a teacher, a cantor, in the way that he says the Shema in Shul Bebeis HaKnesset, Shu Pesach Tchila, Ve'inoin and Achrav, that he just begins and everyone else finishes the sentence. So B'maika Mifchi, what is this three-way machlekes where the Klal Yisrael said word for word, whether they just started, Moshe Rabbeinu started and Klal Yisrael finished, or whether they responded Ashir Lashem, they responded like Hallel. Rabbi Kiva Savar Loimer, Amilsa Kamaisa. Rabbi Kiva says that when the pasuk says the Leimar, it goes back to Ashir Lashem, and that's the reason why. That's what they repeated. Rav Elazar ben Ashur says, "Savar Leimar Akol Milsa Milsa." Leimar means they repeated whatever Moshe Rabbeinu said. Leimar, he said a phrase, they said a phrase. When it says Leimar, it means they said it all together. And when it says, that's when it says Vayomru. It says Leimar means the Baruch Moshe Rabbeinu started, and the Klal Yisrael answered. Three opinions as to what was the Shir Alayam. And we'll pick it up from the Tanur Rabbanan in the next year. B'siyata Dishma.